Hello, this is Bradley Pierce. I'm an attorney here in Texas and the president of Abolish Abortion Texas. And I'm just here to talk about the Abolition of Abortion Texas Act, which has just been filed, House Bill 2709. That's the unofficial title that's been filed by State Representative Bryan Slaton. We're going to be talking about it today. It was just filed today, and we're going to be going through it. And basically, just to sum up what this bill does, it protects children from the moment of fertilization. It provides equal protection of the laws for them, and it protects their mothers from being pressured into an abortion. What it does is it provides equal protection. So equal protection just means that the same laws that protect these people who are born like you and me, those are the same laws to protect people who are not yet born, because all of us are created equal, made in the image of God from the moment of fertilization. So we should all be equally protected by the laws, and that's exactly what this bill would do. And so we're very, very grateful to State Representative Bryan Slaton for filing this bill again. He's continued to stand strong on this bill, and we're grateful for him filing it. So let's go ahead and talk about the bill, and then answer some frequently asked questions that some people may have about it. So let's go ahead and let's go look at the bill. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see that. All right. All right. So you can actually get to the bill the easiest. You can go to the Texas Legislature website and look up House Bill 2709, or you can go to the Foundation to Abolish Abortion website, click on states, scroll down. You can see this is actually the 10th bill of equal protection to abolish abortion that's been filed across the country this year. We're very grateful for that. Momentum for abolition, equal protection is building. And these are all the states with active legislation. And right down here, Texas, you can click there, scroll down, and click to go see the bill that was just filed this morning. And then you can click on that. There will be other co-authors as they're added that will show up here. You can also see them on this tab. The bill will be assigned to a committee at some point. We'll be letting everybody know about that, so we can be encouraging that committee chair to give the bill a hearing and a vote to move it on to the House floor for passage, and then on to the Senate, and then finally to the governor. But you can click here, text, to go see what the bill says. So I want to walk through what the bill says, what it means, and then answer some questions so that you can be equipped to talk about the bill and advocate for it. So the beginning of the bill, as we said here, filed by Representative Bryan Slaton, and House Bill 2709. This first section is not something drafted by Representative Slaton, this is drafted by the Texas Legislative Council, which are the attorneys that advise the legislature that help to draft these kind of bills. And this is just basically the subject matter that they assign to it. That is, it's a bill to be entitled an act relating to the protection of an unborn child's rights and criminal liability and justification for prohibited conduct. So we have section 1 of the bill. Actually, before I get to, actually, let me do section 1, and then I'm going to skip to the end of the bill and then come back. But section 1 of the bill is actually amending existing law 1.07A26. And one thing when you're reading these bills, be aware that there's lots of other law out there that is already on the books that the bill is not touching. What you read in the bill is just the parts that's being added to the law or being taken away from existing law. So this bill, and when something's being taken away, you're going to see a strike through mark contained within brackets, like this word gestation here. If something's being added, you're going to see it underlined. Everything else is already the law. And so what we see here, section 1.07A26 of the Penal Code, it says this is existing law that says individual means a human being who is alive, including an unborn child at every stage of development from fertilization until birth. That's existing law in Texas at every stage of gestation from fertilization until birth, I should say, is existing law. All we're doing is changing that word gestation to the word development, because that's a little more precise to be sure that that we're talking about that child from the moment of fertilization, no matter where that child is, from fertilization until birth. that's who a human being is, defined as an individual, and then the term person in Texas includes individuals. So we already have personhood in Texas law today. We're just tweaking that definition ever so slightly, just to be sure that it is precise. I'm going to skip to the end of the bill now before I come back, because really the most important part of this bill you're not actually going to see in the text of the bill. The most important part of the bill is the fact that it's repealing these sections right here, because we already have. Let me show you this. We already have criminal homicide. A person commits criminal homicide if he intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or with criminal negligence causes the death of an individual, right? And you already saw in the bill that, let's see, let me open the bill again. In the bill, that individual means a human being who's alive, including an unborn child. All right, so homicide is already defined to protect unborn children. The problem is there's one section in the homicide code that creates an exception, and that's this right here. So this says this chapter does not apply to the death of an unborn child if the conduct charged is conduct committed by the mother of the unborn child or a lawful abortion, which thankfully, abortions are not lawful in Texas unless they're committed by the mother of the unborn child. So that's the self-induced abortion loophole that is still on Texas book that Representative Slaton, if you've checked out his press release that he posted on Twitter, I'll try to show you that in a minute. He's talking about, that's this self-induced abortion loophole, which basically says that, hey, it's not illegal. An abortion is not illegal. It's not homicide. It's homicide for everybody else except for the mother. And that's a problem because it also it not only fails to protect the baby, but it also fails to protect the mother, as I'll talk about here in just a little bit. But it actually, in fact, let me talk about it now. It actually allows, murder is already against the law for born people. And because of that, it's actually illegal to even encourage someone, much less pressure someone to murder another born person, right? That's illegal, right? That's why people aren't coming up to you all the time saying like, hey, you should really murder so-and-so. It's like, yeah, that's illegal to do that. And if you were to follow through with that, they would be a party to the crime. Except, not with abortion, because it's legal, as you see here. The law allows the mother to perform an abortion, to do a do-it-yourself abortion or self-induced abortion, also called self-managed abortion, up until the moment of birth, which means that it's also not illegal for someone to pressure that mother into an abortion, because it's not illegal to pressure someone to do something that's legal, right? It's not illegal to pressure someone to do something that's legal. It's legal for the mother to do a self-induced abortion in Texas, and so it's not illegal to pressure a mother into doing a self-induced abortion in Texas. So that's why under current Texas law, babies are not being protected from self-induced abortions, and the mothers are not being protected from being pressured into abortions, either self-induced or otherwise. So that's what, that's what we've got to take care of in order to provide equal protection of the law to every single person in Texas. And right now, this 19.06, it says, hey, homicide laws don't apply to protect preborn children, and that's a problem. So that's what this bill would, that's a big part of this bill, is this section 19.06, repealing that. There's another section, 22.12, that has the exact same thing when it comes to assault, right? So right now, our law allows for assault and a homicide of a preborn child in Texas if it's committed by the mother. That is a problem, right? That's not equal protection. That's not loving our neighbor as ourselves. That's not protecting them with the same laws that protect us. Not equal protection. So that's what this bill would repeal, both of those. This bill would also repeal 71.003C of the Civil Practice and Remedies Code, which, again, this is almost an identical provision. Was passed by the same bill as the other two in 2003, signed by a pro-life governor, passed by pro-life legislature nevertheless creates this allows for abortion, and this allows for abortion. This keeps anyone from being prosecuted. I'm sorry, anyone from being sued for abortion as well. So this takes away that loophole. So now Texas law, just by repealing those things, Texas law would provide automatically civil and criminal justice and equal protection of the laws for abortion. So that's why you're not going to see a lot in the rest of the bill about this, because again, Texas law already defines an individual to include an unborn child. Homicide's already illegal. Wrongful death is already something you can sue for, except there's these exceptions that are in Texas law. The bill just takes away the exceptions, just takes away the exceptions that allows for abortions. Doesn't create new law, right? We already have laws that protect, people from wrongful death, protect people from homicide. Just right now, there's an exception there that says babies before they're born are not protected, and this bill would take away those exceptions. So those laws that protect our lives would now protect babies before they're born. So that's what the bill does. So again, the most important part of the bill is the part that you can't even read or can't even see in the bill. It's right here on page 2. It's a very short bill. It's just a page and a half. So it's right here on page 2, section 4. This is really the most important part of the bill. But the bill does have a couple of other sections just to clarify a couple of things. One of them is section 2 that says the provisions of this code apply equally to a violation committed against any victim, regardless of whether the victim is an unborn child or an individual who is born alive. So what that's talking about is it's basically just making it clear, hey, the same laws to protect people before they're born also protect people protect people after they're born, also protect people before they're born. And not only that, but also criminal defendants are entitled to the same due process, whether the victim is someone after they're born or the victim is someone who is not yet born, right? So there's still the same defenses. For someone who is forced into an abortion, who is under duress, that's already the law that mother is not a criminal. That person would not be a criminal if they're forced into it. Or laws about mistake of fact. Someone doesn't know what they're doing. It's already the law. That's already a defense of mistake of fact. If you don't know what you're doing, then you're not a criminal. So that's already the law. Those things are already in our law. So if you're looking for them in the bill, you're not going to see them because they're already the law. That's already part of our law. And this section right here says, yeah, all those things that are already part of our law, all that due process, the defendant gets a right to an attorney. They're presumed innocent until proven guilty by the government. You got to have a grand jury for felonies. You can give you can give someone who's accused, you can give them immunity to testify against another accused. All of that is already in the law, and so this section 2 just refers to all that and just says, hey, what all those laws that already provide due process when the victim is a born person would also provide the same due process if the victim is a person who is an unborn child. All right, then section 3 really, again, just kind of builds upon existing law. We already have a justification in Texas called necessity that would allow for, kind of triage situations where you have the life of the mother, is at risk. And what this section 3 does is it just makes that explicit. Again, it's not really creating new law. It's just making this specific and clarifying this in Texas. And that is that if there's a life-threatening condition for the mother, doctors can do what they need to do to save as many of them as they possibly can. But if they're not able to save the child and the child unintentionally passes away because of their efforts to save the life of the mother, then, hey, no one is a criminal for that. They saved as many as they could. So this just says that it's not a crime if it's a lawful medical procedure performed by a licensed physician, performed on a pregnant female to avert her death that results in the accidental or unintentional death of the unborn child the pregnant female is carrying, and performed when reasonable alternatives to save the life of the unborn child are unavailable or were attempted unsuccessfully before the performance of the medical procedure. So in other words, there's either not time to do anything else, meaning that all other reasonable alternatives to save the life of the unborn child, they're just not available because there's not enough time left, or they've already attempted everything that they possibly can before they've done something that unintentionally causes the death of the unborn child. So that's what this is about. This is consistent with the Dublin Declaration. Again, direct abortion still prohibited. Again, this is not really even about abortion. Abortion is not even defined to include these kind of situations in Texas law or in the laws of many states. And so again, this isn't really an abortion. This isn't an exception. It's just this isn't even abortion is happening, because an abortion is where you're intending to cause the death of a child. This is where no. We're trying to save the lives of as many people as we possibly can here. And obviously, if the child is already beyond the point, of being able to, sustain life outside of the mother's womb, oh well, I mean, it's easy. Okay, deliver the child. The problem is, what this provides for is, hey, delivering the child, if that's what it takes to save the life of the mother. Problem is, whenever you deliver that child before the child is able to sustain their life on their own, then in that situation, as long as that was the last resort, they'd already exhausted all available reasonable alternatives. Then hey, that's not a crime. They did the best that they could to save as many lives as they can. The next section, we did section 4. Section 5 just makes it clear that, this isn't about retroactive. No one's going back to try to make anybody guilty or allow for the prosecution of anybody who's ever had an abortion in the past. That would be unconstitutional under both the U.S. Constitution, under the Texas Constitution. That would be unjust. That would just be wrong, right? Because we've been telling women for 50 years now that, hey, it's legal for you to do this. Even after the Dobbs decision, hey, it's still legal for you to do this as long as it's self-induced. Well, no one is talking about going back and prosecuting them. The Constitution's U.S. Texas would prohibit that, and this makes it clear that's prohibited by this bill. This applies only to conduct that occurs on or after the effective date of this act, which, if passed, as you see in the next section, would take effect on September 1st, 2023. So there you go. So that's the text of the bill. Stop sharing my screen here. All right, so that's what the bill looks like. And so let me answer some frequently asked questions about the bill. First of all, just to give a little more background on the bill, again, we believe it's consistent with the Constitution. The Constitution says in the 14th Amendment, no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Texas is currently denying equal protection, right? There's an entire class out there that there's an explicit exclusion written into our laws that says that they can't be prosecuted for homicide of an unborn child, right? That's not equal protection. And, people who pressure mothers into abortions cannot be prosecuted. That's not equal protection for them. Okay, so this bill solves that. This is consistent with God's word as well, which says you should love your neighbor. How do you love your neighbor? As yourself. Okay, what laws protect me? Okay, they should be protecting my neighbor, even my preborn neighbor, with the same laws. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. Jesus says, we call that the golden rule. For this is the law and the prophets. This is like a summary of the Old Testament, like do unto others. And God says, Deuteronomy 1:17 and elsewhere, he says, you shall not be partial in judgment. Partial is where you judge a case not based on the merits or the facts, but it's where you say, okay, well, this person is born, this person is not born. This person is strong, this person is weak. This person is a man, this person is a woman. No, this bill is about removing discrimination, where the bill applies equally to protect everybody and equally prohibits everybody from performing or doing or getting an abortion. So that's what this bill is all about. It's about providing equal protection, protecting babies in the womb, and protecting their mothers from being pressured into aborting those children. The primary function of the law is to deter conduct. I don't want to see anybody prosecuted under this bill. I want this bill to become law and for it to deter people from killing their children and to deter people from pressuring women to get abortions, right? That's what I want to happen. Then the secondary function of the law is justice. If people willfully violate the law, okay, then there's justice. The bill doesn't say what the justice is. That's up to the justice system. That's up to The law enforcement, prosecutors, grand jury, judges, trial juries, sentencing juries, appellate courts, and even the governor who can pardon, and they have to be nearly unanimous in what that justice needs to look like. So this bill doesn't dictate any of that. It doesn't say here's what the penalty has to be, or here's even what the charges have to be. Prosecutors can choose whatever charges they want. They can choose to give immunity to the mother. They can choose to charge her for something way less, like disorderly conduct, get community service, or something like that, or give her immunity to testify against the abortion pill provider or somebody who pressured her into it, or something like that. So that's all up to the justice system, which, like I said, has to be nearly unanimous. This bill doesn't dictate any of that. So in we've been denying equal protection in Texas and across the country. The Supreme Court pointed this out in Roe versus Wade. They said there are inconsistencies. I'm quoting from the Roe versus Wade actual majority opinion. There are inconsistencies between 14th Amendment status as a person and the typical abortion statute. If the fetus is a person, why is the woman not a principal or an accomplice? If the fetus is a person, may the penalties be different? That's what the Supreme Court said 50 years ago, right? Actions speak louder than words. We weren't treating a fetus like a person then. We haven't been since then. This bill solves that, closes that loophole, and says, no, we are going to treat them like persons, and we are going to protect them because they are persons. And so that's what this bill does. One question, kind of the first question is, does this bill criminalize women? Absolutely not. The bill doesn't single anybody out. The bill criminalizes conduct. It criminalizes the act of intentionally causing the death of another human being, born or otherwise. That's what the bill criminalizes. And the bill does prohibit everyone, yes, including pregnant mothers, from engaging in the unlawful act of prenatal homicide. And it's going on right now. It's going on right now. Let me show you a little clip of something, and this is a video produced by the pro-abortion industry, who are encouraging mothers and trying to help them to perform their own abortions, do-it-yourself, self-managed abortions, by getting them pills mailed directly to their house, where the mothers just go online and order it. So check out this clip.
Wade officially overturned.
Never before has the court granted and then taken away a widely recognized constitutional right.
Abortion clinics closed down and stopped providing services.
The last abortion clinic closed down yesterday.
The medical director had to break the news to patients already in the waiting room.
Approximately 26 states are going to ban abortion almost immediately or in the near future.
All right, so that's what's happening, and according to our research, there's approximately 1,605 of these self-induced abortions happening in Texas every single month. That adds up to about 20,000 abortions still happening on Texas soil. There's still mothers that are going outside of Texas. We believe that number is even larger, going to other states, have their children aborted there. But just on Texas soil, around 20,000. We think that's a conservative estimate of the number of abortions that are taking place that this bill would prohibit. So that's why we need to get this bill passed, because it's the right thing to do, it's a constitutional thing to do, it's a biblical thing to do, and there's still 20,000 at least children in our state being aborted every day by mothers doing self-induced abortions and by others pressuring them into doing those. And so that's what this bill would prohibit. Some people ask, well, doesn't the trigger bill? No, the trigger bill has an explicit provision in it that says that it does not apply to mothers. So that means ordering the pills and doing them at home is still legal under Texas law. Another question is, what about, would the bill prohibit in vitro fertilization? No, it would not. It would. Fertility specialists can continue to perform IVF procedures, but they must be done without intentionally destroying human beings. That may require them to change their procedures if their current practice creates a large number of human embryos and then destroys the excess. Yeah, intentionally destroying human embryos, that's a problem. So they're going to need to change their practices. But no, it would not prohibit IVF. Would the bill ban contraceptives? No, the bill does not ban contraceptives. Contraceptives are drugs or devices to prevent fertilization, to prevent conception. You know, I believe fertilization and conception, those are the same thing. Pro-abortion industry and movement has tried to change the definition of conception to be later, but fertilization and conception are the same thing. The bill would not prohibit true contraceptives, but it would ban the use of abortifacients after fertilization if they're used knowingly and willfully to cause the death of the child. Yes. Uh, could anyone who has been involved with an abortion in the past be prosecuted? Absolutely not. That'd be prohibited by the bill and the Constitution and the Texas Constitution. Could the bill punish women who have had miscarriages? Absolutely not. No, no. That's an accidental or natural circumstance. The bill does not in any way, could not in any way allow for the prosecution of a mother from a miscarriage. Could a mother forced into an abortion be convicted? No, like I said, there's already laws on the books that say someone who's under duress, they commit a crime under duress, they're not a criminal. Okay, and that would apply here as well. Would the bill allow doctors to deal with medical emergencies like ectopic pregnancies? Yes, we already talked about that. That again, that's already under Texas law, and that would be clear under the terms of the bill as well. So there you go. So that's what the bill is about. Encourage you to check out more about it. If you are not already, we're going to be sending out alerts. If you're on our email list, you can, if you'll be getting those in your email about, hey, when this bill gets assigned to committee, what you can do, who you can call, get people to co-author, get your, contact your House representative, make sure they're signed on to this bill. Contact your senator, ask them to file a companion bill in the Senate. We're going to be letting you know about that. If you're on our email list, great. Stay tuned for that. If you're not on our email list, go to abolishabortiontx.org and get on our email list. I think there's a take action or enlist or something like that. Click on that, get on our email list so you can know what's happening. And when you do that as well, put your cell phone number on there so that way we can send you text alerts. Maybe you're on our email list already, but you're not getting text alerts. Go sign up for our email list again and sign up for those text alerts. And as long as you're using the same email address, you won't get two emails. Just get the one, but then your number will be in there where you can also get text alerts. So we'll be letting you know more about that as the bill proceeds. It's just been filed today. It hasn't even been assigned to a committee yet. But as soon as it is, we'll be letting you know. But please be expressing your support for Representative Bryan Slaton. He filed this bill last time to provide equal protection. He said he would do it again. He's done it again. We're super grateful for him that he's done that. So please express your appreciation to him. Please be praying for him. Him and his entire staff, they're going to be getting lots of nasty calls from a lot of pro-death people, and they're going to be dealing with that. So please encourage them. Contact his office and give them some encouraging calls. I just hope that you would do that. And most of all, pray for him. Pray for his family. This is real stressful. To take this kind of stand and be praying just for the state of Texas, that we would repent that we've been denying equal protection. We've been murdering our babies, and maybe you've been a part of that. And I can tell you that God's grace is sufficient. If you come to Him in repentance, the blood of Christ will cleanse you from all unrighteousness, and you can be clean and pure and holy in His sight. You can be forgiven for all of that. So I hope that you would do that if this is something that you've done before, and that's our message. That's our message that there is hope and there is redemption and there is repentance, and that's what we need to do. But God calls us in our laws to provide justice, and that's what this bill does. And so I'm grateful for that and for Representative Slaton filing it. And so stay tuned for more. But that's all for today, and thank you very much.